Hello and welcome to my podcasts. My name is David Wright and my podcasts are all about living and working in sunny Spain. So today I want to talk to you about the virus, the dreaded virus that's hit the whole world at the moment. And I know that a lot of Brits are in the UK and their plans are on hold at the moment, as pretty much everybody else's plans all around the world are on hold. But guys, there's still a lot you can do. If you're thinking about moving to Spain and you've got plans to move there or buy property there, everything's sort of on hold at the moment. But there is still quite a lot that you can do from the UK to push your plans on a little bit. So, for instance, a lot of the offices here in Spain are beginning to open up down with some of the restrictions are being lifted generally all over Spain, but in 4 phases as they're calling it here. It's going to be slow, it's going to be over the next few weeks, but there are still some government offices that are working and have been working continuously here. As some of you know, my Spanish wife works for government buildings here and local general authorities, and she's been working pretty much continuously from home, as are many of these departments. Now, this means that things like residency and NIE numbers and stuff like that, some of these things can still be applied for online. I have got some links in the information page on our Facebook British Expats in Spain group, so check that out when you've got time. There's some things that you can still be doing from the UK, and most of it will be in Spanish, but there are some sites that can give you links to things that you can get prepared now and get in motion ready for your move to Spain within the next few months. So check that out, guys. It's on the info page. Lots of things you can be doing from your UK home. Then there's another thing as well. One of the things which I'm always plugging here on all my pages and interviews is learn some Spanish. Yeah, I know it gets boring, but guys, of all the things you can do when moving to Spain, even if you're not looking for work here, the most important thing that you can do is learn Spanish. And us Brits are pretty lazy when it comes to learning languages, and if you're anything like I was when you were young, I did French at school and hated it. It was just long and tedious, and I didn't really do well in the exams. I just couldn't get on with learning a language. But learning Spanish is one of the most important things you can do here, and it will be the most useful thing, and it will save you a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of stress once you're here. So a lot of the people that I know here that are not speaking Spanish, and I mean, I've been here 17 years now, and I still know and am friends with people here that have been here for the same amount of time as I have, and they can't speak any more than a few basic phrases. Guys, they have to pay people to do the paperwork. They have to pay people to take their car to their ITV, which is the MOT here in Spain. And, you know, that's 35 euros for an ITV, 40 euros for an ITV here to get your car through. And if people are paying for that, if they're having to pay to do somebody to do that, that's bumping the prices up all the time. So if you can learn some basic Spanish here, it's going to save you not only money but time and stress in the long run. So, you know, how can you learn Spanish? What is the best way to learn Spanish? Well, everybody learns differently. We all have different ways, and the older you get, personally, I find it harder. And for me, I started taking lessons here when I first moved here. I went to classes and found that really hard to get on with. Reading and writing, I was never very good at English at school, let alone Spanish, and my spelling is atrocious, and I do suffer a bit from dyslexia, as some of you know. So, you know, anything to do with reading and writing is very difficult. But I did go to lessons. I booked some private lessons, one-on-one classes with a Spanish teacher. And one of the first things we did when we went in the class was sat down and talked about what I wanted. And I said I was setting up as self-employed here, and I needed to learn to go and order my materials and stuff like that. So the very first thing we did was starting to write down the verbs. The verb to eat, for example, comer, and it was comáis, comemos, comen, past, present and future tense. And after about 20 minutes of this, I just stopped and turned to the teacher and said, this is great, but I need to go and order some screws and nails and materials tomorrow. How long is this going to take before I start being able to speak Spanish? And he just looked at me and said, years, a couple of years at least. And I said, no, this is no good. I need to speak Spanish next week, and he sort of looked at me dumbfounded, thinking, who is this guy, and shrugged his shoulders and said, well, I don't know what to say. And I said, listen, I've got an idea. What about if we do some role play? I seem to remember years ago as a kid when I was doing the French, as kids we dressed up and played waiters and waitresses and stuff like that, and clients in a restaurant, and that's remember all of this stuff. I remember some basic words when we were doing that. So I said to him, what about if we do some role play? What about if, for instance, you're the shop owner and I come in, I'm the customer, and I say, hello, good morning, and you reply, and how can I help you? I'm looking for some wood. Okay, what colour wood? How big? How long? How wide? How thick? Things like that. Words that are going to be related to what I needed here in Spain at that time. And we build on that. And I said we could start off with the builders merchants, and I can go in and order some screws and nails and things like that. All these sort of words, which not a normal vocabulary for most people here in Spain. And he looked at me and he said, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. So that is what we did. The first few lessons with him, he was the first time I needed to go and order some glass at a window shop here, and it was obviously a Spanish commercial shop. And I knew the word for glass, but I wanted to know sizes and thicknesses and things like that. And my windows that I were ordering at the time were PVC and aluminium. And so I needed to learn these words and explain to the teacher how we could do that. So that is what we did. We did role play as a shopkeeper. And it started off the same each time. Good morning, how are you? And I would walk in, I'm very well, thank you. How can I help you? I'm looking for some wood. Okay, what wood do you want? What glass do you want? How big do the windows need to be? Is it interior, exterior? All these words. And I built up quite an extensive vocabulary in a very short time. And the other thing with this is, even after the first lesson, the next day I could go out to the builders merchants and I could ask for some skirting boards and some architraves, which is words which are quite unusual here, So like for architraves, if you don't know what that is, that's the wooden framework that goes around the outside or inside of a door, the framework of a door. And here in Spain it's tapajunta. I mean, it's not in most dictionaries even here. So, these are specific words related to my business. And I think this would work for anybody really. I mean, if you were here and you were working as a hairdresser or something, you could do this sort of role play with a teacher or just a friend, and get a friend of yours that speaks Spanish to practice this sort of role playing form of learning a language. It did work for me. It worked very well for me, and I built up my vocabulary and I could use it in different shops, different places. And say you're coming here to live in Spain and you're not going to work, you're coming here to retire or just enjoy life here in Spain. Well, you could do the same thing, but you could do it related to bars and shops, asking where the post office is, how to buy stamps. I want to post a letter back to the UK and things like this, You need to put the light and electric on when you get here in Spain and get it connected. So you're going to be going to offices, office buildings, and the vocabulary is going to be pretty much the same in these buildings. Were you born here? Where's your passport? Can I see your ID? Where is the address, please? Where do you live? How long have you lived here? All these questions are going to be asked several times in the same places. So this is a sort of the list of vocabulary you're going to need to learn here in Spain. So do it in a role play. Pick a friend, get somebody that speaks some Spanish and practice these words. And even if you can't do that or you're not going to have lessons here, look these words up yourself and write them down and get a list of the vocabulary that you're going to use. There's two really good advantages to doing this. One is, for instance, say you're here and you want to learn how to order tea and coffee and drinks and snacks at a bar. Well, these words you can use, and you can use phrases of them, you can use parts of them, you can add bits to them, and because you're going to be using the same words and phrases over and over again, you get more confident. The more confident, the better you will speak them, and the more you can listen out to the responses. Now, responses are very, very important. For example, let me explain. say you go into the shop and you want to ask for, say, you want them to connect your water to your house. Okay, so you go into the shop and the local council offices, and you want to be connected to the water. Now, you might practice that question and you put the question to them, but are you ready for their response? They might have a response that you're not accustomed to. So think about the response that they might give you. Like, for example, if you're asking to have the water connected, are they going to say to you, okay, when do you want the water connected? Where are you? Where do you live? Is it a house? Is it an apartment? Is it local? Is it in town? Is it in the country? So think about the answers to the question that you're going to put to people, and get ready for the answers, so you get used to listening to the answers. A good one here is, I went to a shop years ago and I had a list of vocabulary written out, ready to spiel off the wood that I wanted when I wanted to go and order some wood in a shop, and I practiced it for days, and I had a whole 2 or 3 sentences of what I wanted, the wood I wanted, and what it was for, and the colour and everything. I went into this shop and I spoke not fluent Spanish, but pretty good Spanish, because I've been practicing it so much. And the guy looked at me and understood everything perfectly, and he turned round to me and just rabbited off words 100 miles an hour, and I didn't understand one single thing that he was asking me. It's because I wasn't ready for his answer. I wasn't prepared for the answer. So it's okay getting these questions ready and preparing the questions, and but get ready for the answers as well, and think about what they might respond to you. What is the obvious things they're going to be asking you once you ask them that question? So it's not just the question, it's getting prepared and practicing the words for the answer as well. So this is a great way of learning. Now, there are several things if you can get on the internet now. You can download all these apps. There's lots of free apps that help you. Something else that was really useful for me was, when I was first here, was listening to the radio in the car, on your headphones, at the gym, just listening to radio or music or anything. Normally I listen to the news channels and just kept hearing it in my ear, and it was going in and in and in, and you start to pick up words this way. Watch television, Spanish television, but put the subtitles on in English. Watch the news and things like that. There's a lot you can pick up visually without having to know what they're saying, but when you visualize it, your brain connects the two and you start to learn these words. Now, there's also some fantastic apps out at the moment, and I use an iPhone, and there's some brilliant apps out, but these are available for all different makes and models of phones. So look at the apps for learning languages, and my recommendation here is to get the cheap free ones. The cheap ones or the free ones to start with. Free ones are great, and the kiddies ones. Go for the kiddies ones, which is games and little things that they play with their children, like colours, and you have to guess the colours and things like that. They're very basic, but they do help a lot. And then once you find an app that you like, I used to download 5 or 6 at a time. Find the one that you like and just delete the rest, or you get bored of it, move on. Don't stick to one all the time. But when you do find one you like, or you find something that you're getting on with well and you're progressing well with it, think about the upgrade. Some of them do the upgrades where you can buy the app or buy the premium one and things like that, and you're talking about €2 or €3 for an upgrade, and this normally opens up lots of extras, which is very useful. So apps are a great way to learn here. And also, of course, watching videos on the internet, watching films in Spanish. There's lots of films that I when I first moved here to Spain, there was films on the television that I was watching, Spanish films, well, English films, but in Spanish subtitles. And it's quite funny watching a good John Wayne film that you know really well off by heart, and John Wayne speaking in a squeaky Spanish voice. It's quite hilarious, really. But, you know, watching these films and with the Spanish subtitles, or watch it in Spanish with English subtitles, another great way of learning Spanish. So these are all sorts of things that you can do from the UK before you've even come to Spain that can really help you when you're here. And the first year I was here, I needed somebody to come with me to get the car ITV'd. I needed somebody to come with me to open up my bank account. Although at the time the bank manager did speak some English, but sometimes people here say they speak good English, as my bank manager did, but he didn't really speak very good English, and he didn't understand my responses. So I wanted to make sure, it's important to make sure these people get it right the first time, because once your details go into a bank account, or you're getting the water, light, electricity connected, you walk out the shop, you want to make sure that they are 100% clear, that your address is right, the numbers you've given them are correct, the accounts are correct. So it's worth paying somebody to go with you that speaks very good Spanish when you first move here, to get these things done and get them done correctly. So yeah, learning Spanish is obviously the main thing here, and it really will save you a lot of time and a lot of money when you're first here in Spain. And on our Facebook group, we have got lots of people there, lots of members that will tell you the same. They're obviously living here in Spain, and have lived here, some of them a long time, and some still don't speak Spanish very well, but they'll tell you how important it really is to learn, and it will save you a lot of time, money and stress in the long run. So that's it for the first podcast. Check out the other podcasts. There's going to be plenty more coming very soon, and come over and check our YouTube channel, British Expats in Spain, and also our Facebook group, British Expats in Spain Facebook group. There's lots more info there. So I hope you like this, guys. Please leave a comment, and speak to you soon.